Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates today. Welcome here, guys. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Beach, North Carolina. Guys, we have a few things we need to talk about today. Give me just a second while I realign my monitor here. Unfortunately, I have to realign this monitor here every day in order to monitor what is going on in our chat and over on our program, because we can't count on USGS doing anything right and making sure our program doesn't go down. And as a result, I monitor this program most religiously to make sure you're getting the highest quality signal and the highest quality program. I want to welcome some people already in here. Betty Barr is here. Marianne Doer-Knotts is here. I can't honestly say I know who the next person is, but he's saying hello here. Demon Catman is here. One of our great moderators is here. We appreciate him also being here today. Guys, we have a lot of things I want to talk about, but before we get into it, I want to make sure we have a good group of people here in the chat, which will give me a good idea of what's actually going on here, the people watching our program. Now, I want to make sure we have people watching this program. It's vital to the success of our program. Now, if we only would stay for a while longer, okay? I've talked about this quite a bit in recent past, because it's a true story. We want to have people stick around for the most part of our program. Why? Because if you don't stick around for the most part of our program, you're not going to get anything out of it. We talk about earthquakes on this program. We talk about hurricanes on this program. We talk about shootings. We talk about tornadoes. We talk about very bad storms, including rain and wind and snow. We talk about all those things. Why? Because it's very vital to everybody's lives. We talk about politics on this program because as of late, people have been killed. People have been killed because the politicians are making life very rough. They don't want to stop the gangs. They don't want to stop anybody from being robbed or worse. They don't care. I do care. When I see our politicians here doing their job, I want to praise them for it. Juanito is here. Juanito is from El Centro, California. We appreciate Juanito also being here. Pre-Trib Truth is here. Thank you for being here. We love you guys. We really do. I count you as my family. I count you all as my family members. Now, guys, what I have to talk to you about is very real here today. I first want to talk about Kilauea volcano over in Hawaii. Okay, it's ongoing. It's still erupting. Okay, this is the 32nd episode already. The 32nd episode of Kilauea erupting. Episode 32, the ongoing Halemaumau eruption at Kilauea. Kilauea is a volcano in Halemaumau crater. Kilauea is in Halemaumau crater. So when you hear me talking about Halemaumau crater, I'm talking about Kilauea. Now, the episode 32 of the eruption here at Kilauea started at 6:35 a.m. this morning, Hawaii time, September 2nd. At this time, the North Vent Dome fountains transitioned into taller lava fountains. Taller lava fountains, okay? These have been inclined at about 45 degrees northeast, similar to but less inclined than those of episode 31. Now, you might not say this doesn't have any real fountaining ability, but it does, okay? The less inclined the fountains are, the less lava is being put out. As you can see, the fountain is continuing very high. high rate of fountaining. That means pressure inside the volcano is built up to allow that fountaining to continue like it is. Okay? Currently, fountains are about 500 feet, 150 meters high, arcing at an equivalent distance in the High Mile crater. Past episodes of eruption here have produced incandescent lava fountains over 1,000 feet high, 300 feet high, or 300 meters high. Incredible. The eruptive plume is the steam and the gas clouds over the crater. The eruptive plume is currently 9,000 feet high, 2,700 meters off the ground, up to even 20,000 feet high, 6,000 meters above ground. According to the National Weather Service, winds are blowing from the northeast direction today, which suggests that the volcanic gas emissions and the volcanic material will be distributed to the southwest part of the crater. Okay? If the fountain remains inclined, ash and tephra will be greatly reduced. Okay? Why? Because the fountain is going like this, and going back into the crater. Okay? It's going up like this and going back down in the crater. It's not going straight up. Okay? That means the ash and tephra will be greatly reduced, but high SO2 gas, sulfur dioxide gas emissions may impact communities to the south and west of Kilauea Summit. Now, all eruptive activities confined to the crater within the Volcanoes National Park in Hawaii. Okay? None of the eruptive activity is going to disrupt commercial air traffic in Hawaii. Okay? It's not going to disrupt commercial air traffic in the airports in Hawaii. Okay? Episode 32 that started today, then intermittent overflows from the north vent began at about 12:43 a.m. today, Hawaii time. This intermittent overflows continued until 5:31 a.m. when a continuous overflow began in association with a low dome fountain. Okay? This dome fountain escalated in vigor about 6:35 a.m. as you see it now, when lava fountains began to get taller. Okay? Rapid deflationary tilt. Rapid deflationary tilt meaning the ground has dropped down. Deflationary tilt means the ground has actually dropped down. When it's inflated, the ground has risen up. When we have tilt inflation, meaning the magma body beneath the volcano has raised the ground up. That's what that means. In this case, all this fountaining going on is lowering the amount of magma in the magma chamber below this fountain. Okay? Fountains are estimated, like I said, to be at 500 feet high, 150 meters high, and feeding multiple lava streams as of 6:50 a.m. this morning. Most episodes of Hale-Mau-Mau lava fountaining since December 23rd, 2024 have continued for about a day or less. Okay? They've been separated by pauses in eruptive activity, largely lasting at least several days. Now again, let's talk about the volcanic cloud. The volcanic cloud above the crater. The volcanic cloud current height of the convective plume is 9,000 feet high. The cloud above the volcano is 9,000 feet high, above ground level. Okay? Most volcanic ash and pumice, tephra. Think of pumice as tephra. Okay? That's falling back within 1 mile, about 1 to 2 kilometers from the eruptive vents. Okay? Lower concentrations of these finer volcanic particles, such as ash and Pires hair. Does everybody understand what Pires hair is? Pires hair are tiny particles of volcanic glass. As the ash and the lava go up into the air, they cool, don't they? Rapid cooling causes this volcanic glass, very thin shards of volcanic glass, folks. volcanic glass shards. These shards can injure your skin, cut your face, and even damage your eyes. And if they're breathed in, these tiny glass particles could get in your respiratory tract and cause all kinds of health problems. Okay? But right now, that's not happening. Right now, that's not happening because the glass particles that Pele's hair and all the other ash and tephra is falling back into the crater. Okay? Now, in the past, when there's been more volcanic fountaining going straight up, that means the ash and the Pele's hair can be transported over greater distances downwind the vent, even up to 20 to 30 miles away from the vent. Sulfur dioxide, SO2 emissions are typically 50,000 tons a day during the eruptive episode. Okay? There have been no reports of ballistic balls of lava. During the last eruption back in 2019, when the lava disappeared, the magma disappeared from Kilauea volcano crater. When that magma and lava disappeared from Kilauea crater, 3 days later, great big huge vents, great big huge fissures opened up over in Fern Forest to the south and east, and all the way over into northeast part of the big island over what they call Leilani Estates. Okay? When those great big huge fissures erupted, that eruption caused great big balls of lava to be ejected from those fissures. Those balls of lava went all the way out to sea as well. Some of the tourist boats that were closer to shore were bombarded by these balls of lava. Hot, 1,000, 2,500 degree lava balls were lifted up and thrown out on these boats. Yes, it imperiled the boat's occupants, and they saved the boat from burning down. Okay? They doused those lava balls with water and saved the boat from burning up. But so far during this eruption now, yes, it's far enough inland from the ocean that they aren't expecting this to happen, but they're saying there have been no ballistic balls of lava ejected from the crater here. Okay? No ballistic balls of lava have been shot up in the air or out over the landmass. The lava flow is confined to being inside Halemaumau crater within the summit caldera. Small volcanic particles may impact downwind areas. There's not expected to be any impact to commercial airways or airports expected at all. Okay? This episodic eruption is occurring within the closed area of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. High levels of volcanic glass and volcanic gases, primarily water vapor, H2O, carbon dioxide, CO2, and sulfur dioxide are one of the hazards of concern, as these hazards have far-reaching effects downwind. As SO2, sulfur dioxide, is continuously emitted and released from the summit during the eruption, it will react in the atmosphere to create a visible haze known as VOG, volcanic smog. Okay? This volcanic smog, VOG, is downwind right now of Kilauea. Okay? Meantime, the VOG also may cause respiratory and other problems at higher concentrations. Those people that are up near the crater, and there are no people near the crater at all, but if they had an overlook there, they might be expected to see some kind of concentrations of SO2, sulfur dioxide, around where they're at. Okay? Now, as this SO2 and carbon dioxide leave the crater in the air, okay, these winds around or breezes around the volcano can cause high concentrations of CO2 or SO2 to be blown over the landmass. If this SO2 and CO2 gets down in a valley or a gully, where someone might be, that person would be subject to having a possible episode of respiratory arrest, because CO2 and SO2 take over the air mass in that area, and the person cannot breathe air at all, and they may die. Okay, that's what happens. That's what happens. Now, if you want to know more about this, you might want to jot down this web address here: https://vog.ivhhn.org. Again, https://vog.ivhhn.org. Okay. Another hazard that's closer to the vent is fallout of Pires hair, that volcanic glass, and other volcanic fragments from the lava fountains. Pires hair can be strands of volcanic glass. It can even be tiny strands, very tiny strands, but it can be also longer strands as well. Okay? This volcanic glass is often produced by lava fountaining activity, and that Pires hair can be carried over 10 miles away, 15 kilometers away from the vent. Other hot glassy volcanic fragments, including Pires hair, volcanic ash, pumice, and let me see if I can put up this picture I want to show you here. Hold on a second. Just give me a quick second here. This is called reticulite. I'm going to bring this down here, and I'm going to enlarge it so you can see what I'm talking about here. This is what they call reticulite, okay? Now I'm going to explain what that is, okay? This reticulite can refer to either a geological term for extremely porous, light-colored, and lightweight volcanic rock formed from rapidly cooling lava, okay? A very porous, extremely porous, light-colored, and lightweight volcanic rock formed from rapidly cooled lava. Reticulite forms during vigorous lava fountaining, volcanic eruptions, particularly with gas-rich basaltic lava. Okay? Scoria, another geological term that you might hear here. The geological term scoria, sometimes called thread-lace scoria. Thread-lace scoria. That describes a frail, lacy-like, sponge-like structure where the bubble walls of the pumice have collapsed into threads, and reticulite, which is extremely porous. Light-colored, lightweight volcanic rock formed from rapidly cooled lava. That can fall on the ground within 1 to 2 miles of the vent. Okay, with the highest concentrations downwind of the vents. Reticulite is an extreme form of pumice, okay, in which all bubbles from the lava had burst and become interconnected, tenuously held together by glassy threads. The resulting high permeability causes reticulite to sink quickly in water despite its lightweight, like chicken wire substance. It's very lightweight and it looks like chicken wire. There's almost nothing there. Pumice and other volcanic fragments have fallen on Highway 11 west of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, depending on wind and eruption conditions. Okay? Strong winds may loft light particles, including Pires hair, to greater distances downwind. Once those substances are on the ground, Pires hair can sometimes cluster and tangle together, giving it the appearance of a tumbleweed. Okay? You probably haven't heard this before, that's why I want to talk about it now. Okay? Last time Kilauea erupted and the lava disappeared from Kilauea and also Pu'uo'o volcano, all that lava or magma went underground over, like I said, fern forest to the southeast and also further to the northeast up into Leilani Estates where those fissures opened up. Okay? Then at that point in time, Pele's here became very dangerous because those areas around Leilani Estates were very populated. So more people were in danger from either inhaling the Pele's hair or getting the Pele's hair on the skin, either the face of their arms, where it could cut up the skin. Right now, that's not in any danger because of where Kilauea is. Okay? Residents and visitors should minimize their exposure to Pele's hair and other glassy volcanic fragments, which can cause skin and eye irritation. For more information about Pele's hair and its hazards, there's another place you can go here on the web to www.USGS.gov /observatories/HVO, Hawaii Volcano Observatory, HVO, /watch-recent-lava-fountains-highlight-Pele's-hair-hazards. Okay? Now, if you want more information about that, you can go back and stop this video and go back and pull that website out that I just told you about. And you can go there and find out more information about Pele's hair. Okay? I've talked about it quite frequently several years ago, again, back in 2019, when we were first on the air talking about the volcano eruption at Kilauea and over on the island of Hawaii. Now, a recently updated frequently asked questions document that includes information about potential health effects of Pele's hair is available there. We talked about it. Again, this website I just gave you a little bit ago, https://FOREST/FOREST/default/FILES/PEIR space FAQ, capital letters FAQ, small letter S, space small v, the number 2.pdf. Okay, I hope I gave that to you so you can understand what we were talking about here. Now, I want to talk just a little bit about Hawaii lava flows. Hawaiian lava flows generally advance slowly down slope. And during this eruption, flows have been confined to Halemaumau crater in the southwest side of Kilauea and Kaliwapa, excuse me, I'm having a hard time pronouncing these Hawaiian names. Kaluapele, 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 Kilauea Summit Caldera. Okay? Other significant hazards also remain around Kilauea, other significant hazards also remain around the Kilauea caldera, from Halemaumau crater to the crater wall instability. Ground cracking. Ground cracking. What do you see here, guys? Let me take down that reticulite here. Look what you see here, up near the summit. Tiny cracks at the summit. Tiny cracks emitting steam and SO2. That should be very concerning to the Hawaii Volcanic Observatory and to everybody else around. Why? Because if it's steaming like it is there, this could open up a vent. This steaming here could open up a vent because the cracks in the caldera, the cracks in the summit and the caldera have origin down beneath it, magma down beneath it. Magma is pushing up into these cracks. And these cracks, like I've explained at these volcanoes, can pop. That's what's going on here. I want to make sure everybody understands what's happening here. I want to make sure everybody understands what's exactly happening here. My buddy George R. is here. Welcome. We appreciate you being here. Renee Savvy's here. My buddy Don Patoka, one of our mods, is here. Don says he's listening here on stealth mode. Does anybody have any questions so far? I have a little bit more information about Kilauea, and then we'll change the subject here. Other significant hazards also remain around Kilauea crater. Ground cracking, like you see here, that's emitting steam from the cracks. Rock falls also. Okay? As we have earthquakes, as the magma pushes up into the caldera here and erupts here from the vent, it causes earthquakes. So we can also get rock falls from the walls around the crater. Okay? Rock falls can be enhanced by earthquakes within the area closed to the public. This underscores the extremely hazardous nature, the hazardous conditions of Kilauea's crater rim. Okay? An area that has been closed to the public since late 2007. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about what is going on at Kilauea? Any questions? Now, before I get started on my next subject, I want to go and talk about earthquakes around the world. Because yes, we have a lot of earthquakes, and they are very concerning. Now, these earthquakes are not deadly yet, and I hope they never will be. But we need to talk about them nonetheless. We need to talk about them nonetheless. I've taken down our EMA banner. I'm going to take down for a time our webcam here. I want you to see what's going on. Okay. Again, the beginning of this map here, the USGS map, shows another bunch of aftershocks. Okay. This area just southeast of Kamchatka Peninsula is still having a lot of aftershocks. Okay. This is a 5.0 large earthquake. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. Okay. Notice where these earthquakes are. All these are aftershocks from the 7.4, the 8.8, 9.4 earthquake. Okay. Now they said they had an 8.8 earthquake, but I already showed you evidence that this earthquake here at the southeast side of Kamchatka Peninsula was a lot larger than they're saying it is. A 9.4 earthquake. This seismic energy has begun its transport through the Aleutian Island chain. Yesterday, right over here where you see this earthquake here, this is a 4.7 earthquake. 4.7 earthquake, this is south-southeast of Attica, Alaska. Yesterday here we had a 5.3 large earthquake here. Seismic energy is leaving Kamchatka Peninsula here and moving up here to the north and over here to the east through the Aleutian Island chain. That's what's happening. Okay. Now we are all seeing earthquakes over here, further to the east. Okay. This earthquake right here. This is south of Sandpoint, Alaska. This is a 4.0 earthquake. This is a 4.0 earthquake here, guys. This should be concerning everybody. This is an aftershock. This is an aftershock of a 7.8 earthquake here 4 weeks ago. A 7.8 earthquake hit 4 weeks ago here. This is an aftershock from that earthquake. Further over here in the Aleutian Island chain here, on the trench here, this is a 3.0 small earthquake here. Okay, this is near Old Harbor, Alaska, 91 miles southeast of Old Harbor, Alaska here, on the Aleutian Island Trench here. Now you see a lot of other earthquakes here in southern Alaska here. You see a lot of earthquakes. Okay, this one most recent in red right here, this is a 1.2 tremor. This is a 1.2 tremor. Okay, this is near California Ski, Alaska. Near California Ski, Alaska. Okay, now you see where Anchorage is here. Northwest of Anchorage here. This is a 3.4 earthquake. This is the 3.4 earthquake near Tanana, Alaska. Another volcano. Tanana, Alaska, another volcano. This is a 3.4 small earthquake. Up here to the northeast here. This is a 1.3 tremor. This is 18 miles south of Chickasaw, Alaska. Further to the northeast here, this is 1.4 near, this is a tremor near Eureka Roadhouse, Alaska. Okay, let's go up here into Denali National Park. On the west side, or excuse me, on the southeast side of McKinley, the mountain. This is a 3.0 small earthquake, southeast of Mount McKinley. Okay, just southeast of there is a 1.4 tremor here. Up here to the north, on the west side of Denali National Park, this is a 1.5 tremor. Okay, up here to the northwest side of Denali here, this is 1.3 tremor. I'm going to back out a little bit here so you can see what's going on. We have more tremors out here. Okay, we talked about this yesterday. This is 4 Mile Point, Alaska. Bunch of tremors. There have been a small swarm of tremors here for several weeks now. Okay, let's go out here to the northwest. This is southwest of Hughes, Alaska. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. A 2.0 earthquake. Now today, you'll notice this. Up here in this grayish and white area here, this is the Arctic Circle. We have no earthquakes here in the Arctic Circle at all. Occasionally we will see earthquakes here, but today and for the last little while, we haven't had any earthquakes here in the Arctic Circle to speak of. Okay, we also have no earthquakes up here in the northern side of Alaska, up here at the North Shore. This is where all the oil and gas drilling is here in Alaska on the North Shore. There are no earthquakes here at all. Okay, none. I want to come down here into the Cascadia area here. Okay, over here in the Cascadia area. Okay, right here. This is on the southeast side of the Blanco fracture zone. This perpendicular line that connects the Gorda Ridge with the Juan de Fuca Fault. The Juan de Fuca Fault to the north is a zigzag line connecting the Blanco fracture zone up here to this island up here, Haida Gwaii. Okay, the Blanco fracture zone and the subduction area, the earthquake fault called the Cascadia subduction zone, that follows the shoreline of British Columbia, Canada, from Haida Gwaii all the way down here to the junction of the Gorda Escarpment and also the San Andres Fault. We do have some earthquakes here, but this earthquake off the coast of Bend in Oregon, This is 118 miles off the coast of Bannon, Oregon. It's on the Blanco fracture zone. It's in the Cascadia subduction zone region. The Cascadia subduction zone region, guys. That's why this is important. We come down here to the southern side of the Cascadia region, over here on the Gorda Escarpment. I'm going to larger so you can see what I'm talking about. West of the triple junction where the Gorda Escarpment meets the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake fault, and the San Andreas. That's called the triple junction. Out here west of there, on the Gorda Escarpment, we have a 3.4 small earthquake. This is 7 miles deep. 7 miles deep, approximately 14 kilometers deep. Okay? Further out here to the west, on the San Andreas Fault here. Right here on the San Andreas Fault. We have another 3.0 earthquake here. Again, this is in the southern area, the southern region of the Cascadia subduction zone. That's why it's important. Okay? Now, what will happen? What do you think is going to happen when we have a major earthquake up north here? Up north here, off the coast of Seattle-Tacoma area. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. The seismic energy is going to travel along the Cascadia subduction zone all the way up here to Alaska. All the way up here to Alaska. It's also going to go down here to the south. Okay? It's going to come down here to the south over here at this triple junction area. Back in December 2019, I believe it was December 23rd, 2019, a group of seismologists and geologists met in San Francisco. A gentleman named Chris Goldfinger. Chris Goldfinger is or was the chief professor of geology at Oregon State University. Chris Goldfinger has been instrumental in giving us information about the Cascadia earthquake fault and the Cascadia earthquake that is pending. Okay? Chris Goldfinger told the gathering of scientists and geologists here in San Francisco, California. He told the geologists there that when the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake happens, the seismic energy is going to travel south and it could trigger the San Andreas Fault. It can trigger and probably will trigger the San Andreas Fault. That means this energy from Cascadia will come down the San Andreas Fault. What's down here? What could happen when that Cascadia energy comes down here to California? Okay, you can see the San Andreas Fault here along the northern coastline of California. The San Andreas Fault comes down here and comes down here, continues southeast down here, just west of the San Francisco Bay Area, which means this area here probably will suffer an 9.0 to 8.0 earthquake. An 8.0 to 9.0 earthquake hitting San Francisco, devastating San Francisco Bay Area. Also right here just south of the entrance to the San Francisco Bay on the San Andreas Fault. Colma, California. This is a 0.8 microquake on the San Andreas Fault. Colma, California. This is 5 miles deep. South of there on the San Andreas Fault here, just southwest of San Francisco Bay, this is a 0.7 microquake. This is a 0.7 microquake on the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault continues south here. You see Monterey Bay there. Just to the southeast of Monterey Bay here, we have San Juan Bautista, California. This is a 1.7 tremor. Also further south here, you see this earthquake. We talked about this yesterday. We're talking about it again. Why? We have two earthquakes here. That's why. This is a 2.0 earthquake, just barely southwest of Tres Pinos, California. This is a 0.7 microquake on the San Andreas Fault. Why is this important? About 4 years ago, here in Tres Pinos, California, on the San Andreas Fault, we had a 5.1 earthquake here. A very large 5.1 earthquake. I don't usually equate 5.1 earthquakes as very large, but this is going to be a large but. This earthquake did a lot of damage. And now we're saying, science is also saying that this earthquake may have been a lot larger, possibly even as large as a 5.6 very large earthquake. Caused a lot of damage. It ruptured a great big huge pipe at an oil refinery here at Tres Pinos during rush hour, evening rush hour, causing a huge fire. Traffic was backed up on the I-5 here at Tres Pinos for hours and hours as people labored to get home. The fire and the smoke prevented them from getting home on a rational basis. Okay, that's what happened here. You notice we have two minor adjustments here, two minor earthquakes here. This one is 0.7. This one is a 2.0 minor earthquake. Tres Pinos, guys. That's why it's important. We go further south here. We're down here just northwest of Fairfield, California. This is a 1.0 tremor here at Fairfield, California. Fairfield, California is California's and the world's largest earthquake capital. Earthquake capital of the world, Fairfield, California. This is a 1.0 tremor. Let's work our way south here. Okay, just to the northeast here. Just to the northeast. Okay, I'm coming up here. Boron, California. This is part of the Mojave Desert. Boron, California, we have a 1.4 tremor here. They harvest boron from the desert. Boron is used to make borax soap. Okay, we have a 1.4 tremor here, and yes, you see quarries here. You see a lot of quarries. Like I said, they harvest boron soap or boron to make borax soap here from the California desert. An earthquake just to the north there. Johannesburg, California. We've frequently seen quite a few, shall I say, caches of earthquakes. I can't say necessarily a swarm, but a small cache of earthquakes here at Johannesburg, California. This is a 1.2 tremor, and literally right next to it is a 0.1 tremor here as well. So we have two tremors here at Johannesburg, California. Interesting. Let's go up here, Ridgecrest. Good old Ridgecrest here. Okay. This is a 0.5 tremor here. Okay. Right here. This is a 0.7 microquake here. Further to the north, we have a small cache of quakes here. This is Little Lake, California. We frequently have had earthquakes here. This is 0.3 microquake. This is a 0.8. This is a 0.8 at Kozo Junction. Kozo Junction. Why is this important? Kozo Junction is a volcanic field, a very large volcanic field here. Now, men who drilled into the upper magma chambers of the Kozo volcanic field to harvest steam from the volcano, to bring over and power turbines here in the Kozo volcanic field. This is a large, and I'm going to say very large, volcanic field, and as a result, we have turbines spread all over this field here. Turbines to generate electricity from the Kozo volcano to power Pacific Gas and Electric, and also Southern California Edison. That's what they're doing here at Kozo volcanic field. This is a 0.8 microquake here, up here in the north. Also part of the Kozo volcanic field. Okay, 2.0 earthquake. Over here, just barely to the west of that. Also part of the part of the Kozo volcanic field here. This is a 1.4 tremor here. 1.4 tremor here in the Kozo volcanic field. Now I'm going to attempt to zoom in here. I have not been very successful in the past, but we have earthquakes here, and I want to try to see if we can show you some of the turbine facilities here in the Kozo volcanic field. You've seen this earthquake here. So let's just see if we have any turbines in this area here. Okay. Just going to quickly see what's going on here. You see these volcanic vents. Again, this is a Kozo volcanic field. These vents are where lava poured out of the volcano here. There have been a lot of vents here. There's been a lot of volcanic eruptions here. Okay. We just scout around here to see if we can see a facility here. I thought this was part of the facility, but it's not. It has nothing to do with that. Okay, this highway here is Highway 395. Highway 395 used to be the southwest link to Yellowstone. Before Interstate 15 was there, we had Highway 395. Okay, it's still a major highway. Still a major highway here. Okay, Kozo volcanic fields all over this area here. Let's just see if we can see a turbine facility here. Nope, I thought this was a turbine facility, but it's nothing more than a bunch of volcanic vents here. But you see vents all over this area. Like I said, this is a huge volcanic field. Major volcanic field here. Okay, I don't think we're going to find it right now, so I'm going to let it go. But just know that there's a huge geothermal power plant here that's harvesting steam from the volcano to power turbines here in the Kozo volcanic region. It's happening every day. Every day. We continue to see earthquakes here. Okay? As seismic energy finds these man-made faults. These man-made faults, it doesn't matter whether it's oil and gas or steam from the volcano. When we have men drill into the upper magma chambers, it creates a man-made earthquake fault. That's why we see earthquakes here. Okay, the seismic energy hits those drill points, and all of a sudden we have shaking. That's why we have that here. Okay, we drop down here. Now again, tomorrow we're going to talk about earthquakes here in Southern California. Right here. This is on the west side of the San Andreas Fault, Devore, California. This is a 1.1 tremor here. Further south here to the east, this is Running Springs, California. Running Springs, California. Further south here on the San Andreas, another 1.1 tremor here. You see there's all kinds of earthquakes here. Further south here, just east of the fault, this is Thousand Palms, California. This is a 1.1 tremor here. Now over here towards San Diego County. North of San Diego County in the San Bernardino Mountains, we have Idlewild, California here. This is a 0.6 microquake. This is a 1.0 tremor. And this is a 0.9 1.0 tremor. 0.9 microquake, 1.0 tremor. Why is it both? Because the USGS continues to downgrade every quake to the nearest 0.9. That's why I call it that way. This is a San Jacinto fault. The San Jacinto fault here. Further here to the south, this just happened. Was red. Let me turn it back to red. Red means it just happened. This earthquake is a 0.6 microquake. 0.6 microquake. Now we're back down here in North San Diego County. This is a 1.0 tremor here. This is called the Anza Gap. The Anza Gap, Anza Borrego Desert State Park. Okay. This is a 0.3 Anza Borrego. This is a 0.6. Over here, 1.0 tremor. This is a 0.8 microquake. Further here to the south, Borrego Springs. Again, the Anza Borrego Desert State Park, northeast San Diego County. Okay, the 0.6 microquake. This is also 0.6 microquake. Further to the southwest, Julian, California. This is a 1.0 tremor here in Julian, California. But this earthquake here is on a different fault. This is the Elsinore fault here. The Elsinore fault coming out of Elsinore, California to the north. Okay. Further over here to the east at the top of the Chocolate Mountains. This is a 0.5 again in Borrego Springs, the Anza Borrego Desert State Park. The 0.5 microquake. We come over here into the Imperial Valley, California, Imperial County, California. Okay, over here in the foothills of the Chocolate Mountains here, we have a 1.3 tremor here. For this south here, 1.0 tremor. Up here to the northeast here, on the west side of the Salton Sea, a brand new earthquake just happened. This is a 1.1 tremor here. 1.1 tremor. Now you don't see any other earthquakes listed here on the map. Let me just briefly show you some places. Over here on the east side of the Salton Sea right here, it's a town called, or a former town, it's a ghost town here called Bombay Beach, California. There is a small restaurant coffee shop here in Bombay Beach. Here in Bombay Beach, they frequently have 3.5 to 4.0 earthquakes here. Frequently, every day, several times a day. I'm talking about 6 to 10 times a day here in Bombay Beach. 3.5 to 4.0 moderate earthquakes here. Bombay Beach. Again, they're not showing them. These earthquakes I just got through telling you happen every day. Why are they not showing these earthquakes here? Okay. Further south here in Calipatria, California, down here. Calipatria frequently has 150 earthquakes a day. Anywhere now between 100 to 150 earthquakes a day here in Calipatria. But they're not showing them, are they? Earthquakes here in Calipatria could be anywhere from 1.0 tremor on up to 3.5 earthquakes. They have them here in Calipatria. They're just not showing them. Okay? There's something else here too. Okay? I want to go down here to Westmoreland, California here. Up until recently, and I'm talking during the past 2 to 3 months, we used to have a seismograph that was active here. They've deactivated the seismograph. We no longer have reports from a seismograph here at Westmoreland. But we continue to have earthquakes here. Yesterday we had a 2.5 earthquake here in Westmoreland. Did USGS show it? No, not at all. That was not the only earthquake here in Westmoreland yesterday. They had a lot of earthquakes here, mostly tremors and some minor earthquakes. Tremors and minor earthquakes here in Westmoreland, California. Okay. Now I'm going to drop down here to El Centro. Actually, before I get to El Centro, there's a town called Imperial here. You see it here on the map. Imperial frequently has 3.0 earthquakes here. They have tremors, they have minor earthquakes, and they have 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here in Imperial. 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes are small quakes. 2.0, 2.9 earthquakes are minor earthquakes. And 0.1 to 1.9 are minor tremors. They have them all here in the town of Imperial. Now, since we have Juanito here, especially since we have Juanito here, I want to go over here to El Centro. El Centro. You see on the map El Centro here. Juanito lives here in El Centro. We've started having, as of about 6 months ago, even 7 months ago, we started having regular 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes every day here in El Centro, many times a day. Upwards of 20 to 25 3.0 earthquakes a day. Okay? 3.0 earthquakes are felt. 3.0 and larger earthquakes are felt, and they have them here every day. Probably anywhere from 20 to 25 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here a day in El Centro, California. All over, every day. Okay? Why then? I'm going to ask this question a lot. Why then are they not showing more earthquakes here in the Imperial Valley, in Imperial County? They're showing one earthquake down here in Heber, California. I just illuminated here. This is a 1.4 tremor here. Heber, California. Just north of the border with Mexico. Why are they not showing more earthquakes? There are a lot more earthquakes. They just have decided not to show them. Right here, this is a town called Holtville. Holtville also has a seismograph. The seismograph frequently shows us earthquakes here every day. We have minor tremors. We have minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.9. We also have a group of 3.5 earthquakes here as well. Holtville, California. Holtville, California. Now, guys, I'm going to back it off here. Here in the Imperial County, we have anywhere from 400 to 500 earthquakes a day. Just the county of Imperial. Just Imperial County. They don't like us telling about it because they don't want the public figuring it out. They don't want the public to figure it out. Over here on the northeast side of the Salton Sea, this is a town called Salton City, or not Salt City. This is a town called North Shore Salton Sea. They also have a seismograph here. The seismograph here is recording tremors here. Tremors and even sometimes minor earthquakes here at North Shore Salton Sea. All part of Imperial County. Again, we have 400 to 500 earthquakes here a day. Los Angeles here. We have 400 plus earthquakes here a day in Los Angeles. Again, they're not showing them. Why not? Why not? Over here at the coastline again, okay? Santa Monica, California. Santa Monica, California. We have a pier here. The Santa Monica Pier is here, okay? 1.5 tremor here. 1.5 tremor says it's 1 mile west of Santa Monica. It hit Santa Monica, California. Further south here, you see Playa del Rey, Marina del Rey area here. Coastline areas of North Los Angeles County. We have a seismograph here. We have a seismograph here, I should say. So the seismograph recorded seismograms here, and we have tremors and minor earthquakes here every day in Marina del Rey, Playa del Rey here, every day. But they're not showing us anything here. They should be at least showing us tremors, but they don't. Newport, Inglewood Falls is here. Earthquakes. Earthquakes. Long Beach, California is here. Earthquakes. Why are they not showing us earthquakes here? Why are they not showing us earthquakes here? They should be. They definitely should be. Palos Verdes. They have a seismograph over here in Palos Verdes. Minor tremors happening here every day. Every day. Why are we not seeing earthquakes here? Long Beach. We have 2 seismographs down here in Long Beach. Earthquakes and tremors all over Long Beach. Yeah. That's why I have issues with it. Over 400 earthquakes here in Los Angeles every day. Every day. Down here in the South Pacific. Down here in the South Pacific. The Kermadec Islands down here. This is the 4.8 moderate earthquake here. 4.8 moderate earthquake here. The Kermadec Islands are a bird sanctuary. Nobody else lives here. Only seabirds down here in the South Pacific. 4.8 earthquake here. Over here in New Zealand, around the North Island of New Zealand, we have approximately 18 earthquakes today around the North Island. We have 4 earthquakes here on the South Island. Why are they not showing them? They should be. They should be. Over here in the Legacy Islands here, this is a 5.0 earthquake here. 5.0 large earthquake. Okay. Over here in the Northeast, this is the South Fiji region. This is a 4.5 earthquake. Guess what? It's a deep earthquake. 565 kilometers deep, which means this 4.5 earthquake is going to propagate or birth a much larger, shallower quake. It's going to birth a 5.6 to 5.7 earthquake within the next 3 to 10 days. Another 5.6, 5.7 earthquake will birth here in this region sometime within the next 3 to 10 days. Fact. Fact. Up here to the north, this is another 4.3. 4.3 earthquake. This is semi-deep. 261 miles deep. This is not going to birth anything. This is a 4.3 earthquake in Wallace, Futuna, down here in the islands of the Pacific. Okay? Yes, there are earthquakes here in Vanuatu. There are earthquakes over here in Papua New Guinea. USGS is showing us one earthquake over here, a 4.8 here in Papua New Guinea. Interesting. It's off in the waters of the Pacific. Nobody felt this earthquake. But there are other earthquakes here as well that they're not telling us about. Unreal. Unreal. They never tell us about earthquakes here in Australia. They're hardly telling us about earthquakes here in Indonesia. They're showing us two earthquakes here. This is a 4.6 near Ambon, Indonesia. Okay. That's a 4.6 moderate quake, 4.7 here. 6.2 miles deep, both of them. Both of them. Not showing any other earthquakes here. There are 26 earthquakes here in Indonesia today. 26 earthquakes. 2.5, 2.7, 3.5, 4.4, 4.5, 4.6, and 4.7 earthquakes here in Indonesia. Why are they not talking about it? Why are they not talking about it? Let's go up here to the Philippines. So I actually say south of the Philippines here. Okay? Tobelo, Indonesia. This is a 4.5. When I said the Philippines, I thought we may have an earthquake up here further north, and it's not showing here, except over here in central Indonesia here, or central Philippines here. This is a 4.5 earthquake here in Tobelo, Indonesia. We normally have earthquakes here every day. Going up here into Davao City, we have earthquakes around Mindanao, Philippines. This whole island here is called Mindanao, Philippines. Near Davao, Philippines, we've had 7.4, 7.5, and 7.7 earthquakes here in the last 4 years. Okay? This town and this island frequently get hit by earthquakes every day. They're not showing it. Why not? Over here, just north of there, in the islands of the Philippines. This is another 4.6. This is near a town my son served as a mission. He was a missionary here. This is the 4.6 earthquake here in, I have a hard time pronouncing Filipino names, Cayhagan. Cayhagan, Philippines. 4.6 magnitude earthquake. This is 31 kilometers deep. There's 4 earthquakes here in the Philippines. USGS is not talking about it. Why not? Why not? Over here in the Pacific, this near Guam. This is a 4.5 earthquake southeast of Guam. Guam is a territory of the United States. We have a Navy base here in Guam. Just southeast of Guam here, we have a 4.5 moderate earthquake. This is 31 kilometers deep. Fairly shallow earthquake. Up here to the north. Okay. This earthquake here is in what they call the Izu Islands of Japan. This is a 5.3 earthquake. I don't believe anybody lives in the Izu Islands here. I don't believe anybody lives in the Izu Islands here, and this area gets frequently hit by earthquakes. This is a 5.3 earthquake. This seismic energy will move north here. This seismic energy, the 5.3 energy, is going to move north, probably into Japan, and then it's going to make its way up here north towards Kamchatka Peninsula. Again, seismic energy moves along earthquake channels, earthquake faults, the edge of the plate. And that's exactly what this is the edge of the plate. Okay, let's go over here to China. We're showing one earthquake here in China. Interesting. This is another large 5.0 earthquake. 6.2 miles deep, supposedly. Okay. This is in a semi-mountainous area of China. We've had earthquakes here before. This is a large 5.0 earthquake near Tumsuk, China. Tumsuk, China. Further to the south here, guess what? Jalalabad, Afghanistan. This is a 5.2 earthquake. This is a 5.2 earthquake. It's an aftershock of a 6.0 earthquake that hit here on Sunday. Now the death toll here is around 600. It's probably over that. Probably over 600, probably closer to 800. The injured total is over 2,000 people injured here in this region. This was not a major quake, however, it was a big one. It was a 6.0 very strong quake. Some people here on YouTube and other places around the social media were calling this a major quake, and it was not. This is a 4.2 aftershock here, and this is a 5.2 aftershock here. Okay. Let's go further over here to the west. USGS is showing us nothing. Nada. Now, I did my research here. Okay. I did a lot of research here. There are 36 earthquakes up here in the eastern side of Turkey, in the Turkey-Syria border region here. 36 earthquakes here. Interesting. Up here along the northern border of Turkey here, we have 30 earthquakes here. Central Turkey, we have a handful of earthquakes here in central Turkey. In southern Turkey, we have 20 earthquakes down here in southern Turkey. Go over here to the west. Right here, northwestern Turkey, we have over 200 earthquakes. 200 earthquakes. That's because we had a large earthquake here a while back. And all the earthquakes here are very large earthquakes. Okay? Anywhere from 5.0 small earthquake, or not, I can't say small. The smallest side of the large quake, 5.0, all the way up to 5.6 earthquakes here. 200 earthquakes here. Yes, there are those that have tremors. There are those that are minor quakes. There are some small quakes. There are some moderate quakes, but there are also large earthquakes here. Okay? Earthquakes all over western Turkey from north to south. 1.0, 1.5 tremors here for the most part. Yes, up down here to the south here, we have 2.5, 2.7 earthquakes down here in Western Turkey. Out here in these islands just off the coast of Western Turkey, they're called the Dokanese Islands. The Dokanese Islands belongs to Greece. We have quite a few earthquakes out here in the Dokanese Islands. Okay? Quite a few. Down here, down this region, we have 6 earthquakes. That's because there's magma down here. Magma down here under the Aegean Sea. Magma down here is trying to find a way to erupt. It's hammering away on the bedrock here. Hammering away on the bedrock down here, and it's fracturing the rock in the bedrock, causing earth movement, causing earthquakes. That's why we have earthquakes here. Okay? Again, USGS is not talking about it. Not saying a darn word about it. Greece has 26 earthquakes there. Northern and southern Greece, 26 earthquakes. Interesting. Up here in Algeria, more earthquakes here. I shouldn't say Algeria, Albania, I'm sorry. Albania here. 26 earthquakes here. I should say 26 earthquakes in Greece. There are 2 earthquakes here in Albania. Okay? Up here in Sarajevo, 1 earthquake there, 2.2. Up here, further north here, we have earthquakes and tremors all over this area. Over here in Italy, down here in Sicily, we have 1.2 tremors, 1.7 tremors, and a 2.0 earthquake right here in northern part of Sicily. Going over here to Italy, 2.0, 1.7 tremors down here. Let's go north here. Let's go north right here. 48 earthquakes here. 48 earthquakes. Why? Because this little volcano, I shouldn't say even little, this is a big volcano. Vesuvius volcano. It's trying to erupt. That's why we have so many earthquakes here. They range in size from microquakes to tremors to minor earthquakes and upwards of 3.0 and 4.5 moderate earthquakes here in this area. A lot of earthquakes. A lot of earthquakes. Why? Because Vesuvius volcano has a bunch of urban areas built around it. Millions of people live around here. To the south of Vesuvius, we're here to the west of Vesuvius here, and further north. This is a huge urban corridor here. People are again sleeping in their cars because they're afraid to go in their homes because things are rattling around too much. Huge earthquake. I can't say huge earthquakes, but we have a lot of earthquakes here. Okay? 45, 46 earthquakes here earlier. Okay? Up here in north central Italy. 32 earthquakes here. Usually we have anywhere from 18 to 21, 22, 25 earthquakes here. We have a bunch of earthquakes now. 30 plus earthquakes here. Why? Because, folks, we've been having a lot of earthquakes here, swarms, for years now. For years now, swarms of earthquakes. Usually when that happens, we have a large 5.0 large earthquake here, and that's going to happen again. Fact. Fact. Going north. More earthquakes here in northeastern Italy here, just south of the Andes Mountains. Or not Andes, I'm sorry, Alps Mountains. Andes, that's in South America. These are the Alps Mountains here. Earthquakes all over. Mostly tremors and minor earthquakes. Mostly tremors and minor earthquakes here. Both in the Andes Mountains and down here in the Riviera of Italy. Down here in the Riviera of Italy here, in France. We have earthquakes and minor tremors. All over here. Down here at the border region of France and Spain, we have 2 earthquakes right here. A 1.7 or 2.2 earthquake here. Over here to the west here, on this border region of France and Spain, we have 2 2.2 earthquakes here. Usually we just have 2 earthquakes along the border region, but now we have 4 to the west and to the east. Okay. Here in Spain, 2 earthquakes here to the north of Spain. One a 1.7 tremor and the other 2.2 earthquake. Southern Spain here, we have a handful of earthquakes down here in southern Spain, running from 1.7 tremors on up to 2.8 earthquakes. Okay. Just over here on the eastern side of the Strait of Gibraltar, 1.7 and 2.2 earthquakes here. Just happens to be an earthquake fault here. Right there. Comes over here to the east side of the Strait of Gibraltar. We've had as many as 5 earthquakes here and 1 5.1 earthquake here in the past, right in this area. There are earthquakes over here on the west side of the Strait of Gibraltar. Why? Because we have earthquakes in the Azore Islands. The Azore Islands right here. Okay? Further south, what do you think we have here? This is the Canary Islands. We have some 1.2 and 2.0 earthquakes over here in the Canary Islands. Right over here. They're not on land, they're out in the ocean here in the Atlantic Ocean. But they are here in the Canary Islands here today. Okay? That's what's going on here. They're not showing any activity in Iceland, and that's wrong. We have some minor tremors here in Iceland. I believe what is going on is we're preparing to have another volcanic eruption here in Iceland. I think we're preparing to have another volcanic eruption over here in Iceland. Right along this huge peninsula here, the Reykjanes Peninsula. This time I think it's going to be right about in this area right here. That's where we're having the earthquakes. Magma is forcing its way through the bedrock here in Iceland. That's why we're getting earthquakes here. Magma is hammering away at the bedrock here, causing rock fracturing, causing earthquakes, earth movement. That's what's going on here in Iceland. But again, may the USGS be with you. Gosh, can't believe I said that. Can't believe I said that. Over here on the pneumatic fault, you see an earthquake here on the fault line. This is Etowah, Arkansas. Etowah, Arkansas on the west side of the fault line. This is a 2.1 earthquake. Rarely does USGS even bear its hand here on the pneumatic fault. We do occasionally get an earthquake here, but they're not showing us but one quake. This is a 2.1 minor earthquake on the pneumatic fault. What they're not saying is there are another 300 earthquakes here on the pneumatic fault. 300 earthquakes here on the pneumatic fault every day. Every day. They're just not showing it. They're just not showing it. Scott Brable just gave us a membership here, EMA1. Thank you for joining our team here on YouTube. Scott, bless you. Now I'm going to try to have a members only meeting on Thursday morning. Thursday morning between 10 and 11 a.m. Thursday morning for a members only meeting. Those of you who are members, please be here for that meeting. Yes, we're going to talk about earthquakes. We're also going to talk about what we're doing here on this channel. So come here with suggestions on what you would like to see here on Emergency Management Associates. We're going to do that. Okay. Renee Stevie's here talking about bad weather. Okay. Bad weather. Severe thunderstorm warning in South Dakota. Okay. Codington, South Dakota. Dual, South Dakota. Hamlin, South Dakota. Thunderstorm warning for thunderstorm and heavy hail. Quarter size hail, guys. Quarter size hail in South Dakota. That's what happens this time of year. Okay? Unfortunately. Now there's something else I want to talk about besides earthquakes. So I'm going to take down the USGS map here. I'm going to bring up our webcam and bring up our EMA banner here. I'm going to take down the map here, put it away. We've talked about earthquakes around the globe here. What I'm going to talk about next is pretty bad. Okay? This past weekend in Chicago, Illinois, 54 people were shot. 54 people were shot. 7 of them were unalived here in Chicago, Illinois. Unreal. Now there's breaking news. Okay? President Trump has sent federal agents into Chicago. They're already there. The National Guard may already be there as well. About 12 hours ago, they were still on their way, and National Guard can be deployed within 4 hours. National Guard teams can be set up and deployed within a 4-hour time period. They're already there. Okay? Now, we're already seeing Democrats defecting from the Democrat Party here in Illinois. They're wanting these federal troops. They're wanting federal agents. They're wanting the FBI. They're wanting DEA. They're wanting ICE here. Why? Because Chicago has been a sanctuary city for quite some time. And the crime rate has risen 400+%. We're going to talk about that tonight. Another high-ranking Chicago Democrat is taking Trump's side. He's begging for the National Guard. Begging for the National Guard. And all the while, feckless Chicago Mayor Johnson has completely lost control of his city. If you could believe it, even ultra-left network MSNBC, Morning Joe on the MSNBC channel. Morning Joe himself, Joe Scarborough, is calling for Trump to intervene in the failed city here in Chicago. What we are witnessing here is a supermajority issue in the making. A supermajority issue in the making here in Chicago. I'm going to show you exactly precisely why Trump's law and order policies are serving as a catalyst for nationwide political realignment beyond our wildest dreams. The far left has desperately tried to stop the unstoppable rise of new conservative age. They tried to stop conservatism here in the United States, especially here in Chicago and New York and Los Angeles, Seattle and Portland. They tried to stop it. Now, here's what is really happening in Chicago right now as we speak. Why is this Chicago city about to explode into the biggest showdown between the federal government and the local government since the Civil War? The biggest showdown in political might since the Civil War is happening right now in Chicago. What's going on? 2 weeks ago, President Trump deployed over 2,200 National Guard troops in Washington, D.C., and crime dropped by an astonishing 84%. Washington, D.C. has not seen any murders in 2 weeks. Prior to that, they were seeing at least 7 to 10 murders every week in D.C. It is nothing now. People in D.C. can now walk the streets for the first time. For the first time in a long time. For some people, the first time in a lifetime, they can walk down the streets of D.C. Democrat leadership in Chicago is having a complete meltdown. Mayor Johnson of Chicago and Illinois Governor Pritzker have both stated that bringing in the National Guard to do the job of the governor is the job of the governor, not the president. Really? Let me stop here and tell you about that. If there is a major issue in a town, for example, an earthquake, or a terrorist attack, or some other reason where the governor needs help, he calls the president to ask for National Guard troops. The governor is responsible for asking the president for National Guard troops. And yet Pritzker is telling the world that it is his responsibility to deploy the National Guard. Well, guess what? Governor Pritzker, you're out of your mind. Or you may not have a mind at all. Why am I saying that? Why am I saying that? Because again, Governor Pritzker is lying to the public. The Commander-in-Chief, President Trump, is the Commander-in-Chief of all military might. Pritzker doesn't have a say. Even though he does have National Guard troops in the state, he has to ask the President of the United States for permission to use a guard. He has to ask the President of the United States for permission to have the FBI, the CEA, the DEA, Homeland Security of any kind, including drug enforcement, including Homeland Security, including CBP and ICE. Governor Pritzker is out of his mind. Mayor Johnson said Saturday that it is unconstitutional for the president to bring in the National Guard. Both of them have no clue. Neither one of them have a clue. They ought to be arrested for what they've done. What have they done? They have allowed 54 people to get shot in Chicago. They have again allowed 7 more people to die in Chicago during this past weekend because of their failed policies. The numbers don't lie. Last week, 24 people were killed in Chicago last week, and many more wounded by gunfire. As I said before, this past Labor Day weekend, Demon Catman says Polly has information on an explosion in Palm Springs. Let me stand by for this report from Chicago. I'm going to check out an explosion in Palm Springs here. Last time we had an explosion, somebody blew up a car. Actually, they blew up a car at a doctor's office. They blew up a car at a doctor's office, go figure. That was on June 4th. I'm not showing any explosion here today. June 4th, we had that explosion at a fertility clinic. I don't see anything in Palm Springs right now, and if something does happen, I'll bring it to you. No, I'm not seeing anything here in Palm Springs yet, but if it happens, I'll bring it to you in just a few minutes. Okay? I appreciate everybody that's here. Undy Mac is here. Sweet Polly is here. Renee's here. We appreciate Renee a lot. She brings us the weather reports and stuff here. Demon Catman, again, one of my dearest friends and mod here, is here. Scott Braybell, Trish Killian, one of my dearest friends. Sweet Polly's here. We had my friend Don that's listening here. We have quite a few here. I appreciate each one of you being here, guys. I really do. Anyway, let me get back to my report about Chicago. I felt this is very important to talk about. The video footage coming out of Chicago looks like a war zone. Almost every day it looks like a war zone, guys. I've never seen it so bad. I've never seen it this bad. ICE agents have moved into Chicago for the last several weeks, cracking down on illegal immigration as part of President Trump's directive to triple ICE arrests quotas to 3,000 daily nationwide. That is a quota for ICE arrests here in the United States is 3,000 per day. Now that's a drop in the bucket compared to 25 million illegal aliens here in this country. Okay. Chicago has seen a dramatic increase in enforcement as of late. In fact, there have been over 5,000 ICE arrests in Chicago alone just over the last few months. Pritzker said he didn't want ICE there. That Mayor Johnson, idiot, I'm going to call him idiot because that's what he is. He's a Democrat, loose cannon idiot. Mayor of Chicago has allowed illegal aliens to take over. The federalization of law enforcement centered on illegals is now enlarging. They're enlarging to deal with the out-of-control crime situation as a whole. Mayor Brandon Johnson and Mr. Pritzker, the governor, are having an absolute temper tantrum over it. They said no federal troops in the city of Chicago. There are. No militarized force in the city of Chicago. There are. Mayor Johnson and Pritzker, the governor, has said they're going to defend their democracy in the city of Chicago. We're going to protect the humanity of every single person in the city of Chicago. Really? Really? What are 54 people that are shot and injured in hospitals? Is that defending your city? Unfortunately for Mayor Johnson, even his fellow Democrats have started to defect. They're now begging President Trump to send in federal troops to stop the carnage. Democrat Alderman Raymond Lopez, who's publicly breaking with his own party, he is calling on his fellow Democrats to work with President Trump to solve Chicago's out-of-control crime rate. He said, quote, "We should be working to make sure that we are in coordination with each other. There is nothing stopping the mayor of the city of Chicago or Governor Pritzker, the state of Illinois, from picking up the phone and reaching out to the President of the United States asking, what can we do to be on the same page? We should all be looking to continuously decrease the amount of crime victims in our city and our state. Instead, we're getting into this tit for tat, social media backlash, back and forth nonsense, which is only putting the people of Chicago and the people of Illinois in the middle, in the very crosshairs of the criminals who are going to use this time to exploit the situation and go crazy, as we've seen this past weekend, where we've had multiple mass shootings, multiple victims. No one wants to talk about them. Now, I heard last night Governor Pritzker talking about an invasion of National Guard troops, an insurrection of National Guard troops. I heard the mayor talk about writing useless orders against the federal government. Writing useless orders against the federal government. Unreal. Now, Renee's talking about a flash flood warning in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, that's very interesting, because I will tell you right now, coming out of Mexico is a huge monsoonal flow, bringing a lot of rain and thunderstorm activities to the area. So Arizona and New Mexico, and some point even Utah, is getting this monsoonal flow. There's going to be flash flooding. Yes, there's a possibility of also thunderstorms and the possibility also of tornadoes. That could happen. All of you folks in Arizona, New Mexico, and also Utah need to be standing by. Even those people in western Texas also stand by for some part of this monsoonal flow. It happens this time of every year. Scott Vrabel says we are a constitutional republic, not a democracy. I agree. I totally agree. But Pritzker is trying to talk democracy here. He has no clue what he's talking about. We are a constitutional republic, governed by the Constitution of the United States. No one is talking about the crime statistics in Chicago at all, but we're seeing it. Crime statistics in Washington, D.C. have dropped significantly. Again, people in Washington, D.C. can now walk the streets. That wasn't possible before. For those of you who know who Benny Johnson is, he's YouTube, YouTube icon there here on YouTube. Talks about Republican conservative politics. Guess what? This weekend, I believe it was on Sunday, he released a video when he used to live in Washington, D.C. He lived in a walk-up duplex where two homes have or share a common wall. The other side of his duplex caught on fire, threatened his own duplex. He wasn't home, he was working at the time. The fire next door put his wife and small child he had at the time in grave danger. The police knocked on the door, told his wife about it. She grabbed his child and ran out of the house. Fortunately, his house was not damaged by anything but smoke. But the other home right next door was completely gutted. Washington, D.C. It was violence that started the fire. Also in that same block, there's been shootings. Benny Johnson sold that home years ago and moved to Florida to get away from the violence. Now, for the first time in years, Washington, D.C. has had an 84% decrease in crime. How many more crime victims are more comfortable? How many more crime victims are comfortable? How many more murders or crimes do we need to see in Chicago, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, San Diego, San Francisco? That's ultimately what Chicago Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker are saying, that they are comfortable with the amount of victims they have right now. They're comfortable with the crime, that they don't need to improve on the numbers any further than that. How many more families need to mourn for the loss of their loved ones because the city's politicians are allowing the crime to spread, the drugs to proliferate in their cities? Again, Democrat Alderman Lopez is not alone. Wait until you see what is now on Trump's side, who's on the Trump side in all of this. This is absolutely going to blow you away. Coming from none other than Messy NBC. Messy NBC. Morning Joe Scarborough. Yes, Morning Joe Scarborough is also turning from the Democrat side to the conservative side. Joe Scarborough used to be a Republican conservative. He turned to the Democrat Party years ago, and he's actually gone after President Trump before. It's different this week. The mayor of Chicago last week was saying we don't need any more police officers at all in Chicago. More police officers aren't the answer. Look what happened this weekend, Mr. Pritzker, in your own Chicago. I actually think that J.B. Pritzker should be imprisoned, or he needs to do something very radical to stop the crime in his major city. In my personal opinion, I think he should pick up the phone and call President Trump right now and bring the troops in, because the troops are already going. But instead, we're hearing Pritzker say, and I know you don't have the constitutional authority to deploy the National Guard here and to police my city. Yet President Trump does have the constitutional authority to bring the National Guard into Chicago and or any other major city. Pritzker this weekend said you can't do that. You might have gotten away with it in D.C., but you can't get away with that in Chicago. If Pritzker was any kind of governor, you would think that he would beg President Trump for help and say, let's partner up. These are the most dangerous part of our state of Illinois. He should be telling President Trump that we would love to figure out how we can have a partnership that's constitutional, that respects the balance of federalism between the federal government and state government. He ought to be saying, let's work together to save lives, because right now crime is out of control and people are dying. But Pritzker's not saying that. He's saying nothing. Nothing to see here, move along. There's no problem here. Donald Trump, we don't need you. Mayor Johnson is saying we're going to protect the people's dignity in our city. We're going to protect their lives. This weekend, 54 people were shot. 7 or 9 people were killed this past weekend. Is that protecting the dignity and saving the lives of your citizens in your city? It would be radical for us to figure out a way to actually do what I've been saying from the very beginning in Washington, D.C. That has seen politicians creating partnerships that protect their people instead of lining their own pockets. That's what Pritzker and Johnson are doing. They've taken government handouts to put illegal aliens in hotels and other properties throughout their cities. Now, would you have ever imagined former Republican, now conservative broadcaster, backstabber Joe Scarborough, coming back to the conservative side. Hearing him this morning, backing President Trump's plan to bring federal agents and the National Guard troops into Chicago to make the city safe again, like has been done in D.C. Fundamentally, conservative Republicans are about governing in accordance with reality, whereas Democrats are about imposing radical ideology on reality. That's a key difference. And that's what's really freaking out Democrat communists out here all over this country. And all of this, freaking them out, is because they know that if Trump is able to effectively clean up our cities in the way he closed the border, as he is cleaning up D.C., the Democrats' own constituents will inevitably turn on them. They'll turn on them precisely because safety and security are properly in the law and in all propriety as well. Am I right? Our lives, our family, safety and security are paramount. Paramount even over food and water. The proper basic need of all human beings is to feel safe and secure in themselves and in their homes. The Fourth Amendment guarantees it. Now, as you could feel safety and security needs only second to food and water and air. If Trump is successful in restoring those basic human needs, then he's going to politically appeal to the widest possible number of people, isn't he? Absolutely. This is exactly what happened in El Salvador. Remember President Trump recently hosting the president of El Salvador? He turned his country upside down. El Salvador used to be one of the most dangerous countries in the world. That new president turned El Salvador away from being the most violent nation on the planet, the murder capital of the world, to being the safest nation in the Western Hemisphere. And as a result, he won re-election with an astonishing 85% of the vote. He didn't have to impose a leftist ideology. In reality, he just realigned El Salvador and the politics and reality came along. He realigned El Salvador and politics with reality came along. And the result was 85% of the country aligned with him. Here in the United States, this is precisely what the Democrats fear and fear the most about what President Trump is doing. President Trump is realigning urban politics with reality and effectively breaking the stranglehold of the radical Marxist ideology of far-left politicians that have been imposing their power on all of us for decades, i.e. Barack Obama, Joseph Robinette Biden. What Trump is doing works. President Trump is restoring public safety, realigning politics with reality. He disproves and refutes the fundamental claims common to most Democrat mayors, which is that their constituents are suffering these social pathologies, the lies, the deceit that Obama and Biden gave them, like rampant crime and violence in their societies, because the system is broken. The system is racist. It's bigoted, according to Obama and Biden. It's been rigged against you for years. You get this all the time from Brandon Johnson and J.D. Pritzker in Illinois. You get this all the time from another mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. She's also going to go away at some point. In New York, they're saying that the system is irreparable. Therefore, it needs to be replaced by a more Marxist society. That's what one of the people running for mayor of New York is saying. The system is broken, it's irreparable. It needs to be replaced by a Marxist society system. But if Trump can solve the problem, if the problems are not specific to the system, if he can use the system to solve the problems, then President Trump refutes the cultural Marxist claims, just like he refuted the claim that Biden made that you needed Congress to pass legislation to secure the border. Biden was out of his mind. He did not know what he was talking about. Hell, he couldn't even read a teleprompter. You didn't need legislation to close the border. You didn't need a new system. You just need a new president. You just need a new leadership to break this zombie-like propaganda war. This zombie-like propaganda war that infests our legacy mainstream media and the political establishment. I don't even pay attention to the mainstream media anymore. I pay attention to the social media because the social media has the answers. The mainstream media puts out propaganda in support of the Communist Party. Renee Steffi's also warning of another severe thunderstorm warning for Nevada, California, Placerville, California, Sierra, California, Yuba, California, with 60-mile-per-hour winds and half-dollar size hail. That's huge. You guys in California, Nevada, California, Placer, California, Sierra, California, Yuba, California, 60-mile-per-hour winds and half-dollar size hail. A flash flood warning has been issued for Las Vegas, Nevada, for Mojave, Arizona, life-threatening flash flooding. That's because of all of the monsoonal moisture coming out of Mexico. Okay, there's going to be flash flooding in Arizona. There's going to be flash flooding in New Mexico. There's going to be some flash flooding in Nevada as well, going up into Utah. The moisture is going to be here for a while now. If you are in a rainy situation with heavy-duty rains and flooding, go to higher ground now. Get to higher ground now and stay there until the all clear is given. Okay? You don't want to have happen what happened in Texas before. Hundreds of people drowned. Go to higher ground now. Getting back to President Trump and what's going on in Chicago. What do you think's going on? President Trump is promising to do to Chicago what he did in D.C. Promising to do in Chicago what he's done in Texas with Governor Abbott. His law and order policies are even resurrecting the old Republican version of Joe Scarborough. On messy NBC is in all places. NBC is known for its radical Democrat policies and backing Democrat politics. Messy NBC is just as well. The most socially Marxist network besides CNN, the Communist News Network. Now, obviously, we're keeping a very close eye on how things are developing here. Yes, it's an emergency. It's been an emergency in these major cities for some time. But now President Trump has promised help, and help is arriving. Law and order is becoming Trump's signature issue. It's quickly galvanizing a supermajority of people. It's galvanizing a supermajority of people. This goes way back beyond Washington, D.C. This goes way beyond Chicago. Law and order may end up being political realigning this nation like never before. Law and order may end up politically realigning this nation like never before. Now, to go along with this, let's go back to Los Angeles. Remember what President Trump did in Los Angeles when the Hispanic illegal aliens took over Los Angeles and were attacking federal agents in Los Angeles? President Trump pulled the National Guard in there. He also pulled more DEA agents, more FBI agents, and more Homeland Security agents in Los Angeles to help protect ICE. Today, a federal Marxist judge ruled that Trump's use of National Guard troops in Los Angeles protests is illegal. He ruled that the president violated law by sending military to enforce civilian law. They were not enforcing civil law. Marxist Judge Charles Breyer found that President Trump's administration violated federal law by sending troops to accompany federal agents on immigration raids. To protect the agents, Mr. Judge. The judge in Washington did not require the remaining troops withdrawn. However, he set his order to go in effect on Friday. Again, this is a judge in Washington, D.C. that has no clue exactly what's being done in California. A federal judge in California could have made the same ruling, but hasn't. President Trump has already gotten the Justice Department involved to stop this out-of-control federal judge in Washington, D.C. And also, you might know that the judge should already know that the United States Supreme Court has limited the federal judge's power on the executive branch. That Washington judge in Washington, D.C. has no business interfering with what President Trump has done. President Trump has not broken the law at all. That D.C. judge violated the sanctity of the U.S. Supreme Court because the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against a judge over a month ago. California sued over the administration's move, saying the troops sent to L.A. over the summer were violating a law that prohibits military enforcement of domestic laws. Lawyers for the administration have argued that Posse Comitatus doesn't apply because the troops were protecting federal officers, not enforcing the laws. Our federal troops, our National Guard troops, were protecting ICE agents, not enforcing the law. The troops were mobilized under an authority that allows the president to deploy the guardsmen. The president and the Justice Department have already filed affidavits to go up against this federal Washington, D.C. judge. That judge, in my opinion, is in trouble. Excuse me. That judge is in trouble, and rightly so. Dina, thank you for being here. Dina Rona's going out and getting something to eat or something. She says, later, Gators. Dina, thank you for being here. God bless you. Guys, I love you. I care about you. That's why I came up with this program for you today. I want to make sure everybody is aware of what's happening. Why? Because each and every one of our lives is in the balance. If we don't step up and do our best to defend ourselves, then nobody else is going to do it for us. We need to be in support of our president, who is trying to protect us as well. Not being out there and sitting our butt out on the line with these Democrat idiots. They're trying to get us killed. And that's exactly what's going on. Okay? Does anybody have any questions for me? Excuse me. I'll be happy to take any questions from anyone. I appreciate you all being here, guys. I really do. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you for being here. I love and appreciate each one of you. Does anyone have any questions? If you guys don't have any questions, I want to leave a thought with you. Okay? This thought comes from the New Testament in Hebrews. Hebrews 8, starting with verse 5. Who serve under the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished of God when he was about to make the tabernacle. For see, saith he, that thou make all things according to the pattern shewed to thee in the mount. But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much he also is a mediator of a better covenant, which was established for better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. What have we been talking about covenants? What have we been talking about covenants? When the Lord wants us to do something, he makes a covenant with us that if we obey the law, he'll bless us. We obey that law, he blesses us, doesn't it? Absolutely does. Linda is asking us, did we cover the Venezuela drug ship being blown up? No, we didn't. The United States military is off the Venezuelan coast. Okay? The Venezuelan country is under siege by their present president. Maduro is in trouble, and he knows it. Maduro is in trouble, and he knows it. The United States Navy is off the coast of Venezuela. At some point in time, Maduro is going to be in a heck of a lot of trouble. He may end up getting arrested. Yes, Venezuela has been a chief exporter of drugs, and Maduro has been doing it. Okay? Their drug ship was sunk, attacked. Unreal. Guys, I love and appreciate each one of you. If you want to come here to get the latest emergency information, I'll give it to you. I always do. That's what this channel's for. Putting out information about earthquakes, hurricanes, storms, snowstorms, tornadoes, flooding, rain, fires. Get it here first. We talk about shootings. We talk about buildings going boom. It happens. We talk about railways, rail cars being dumped on their sides, derailed, and toxic chemicals being put out into our environment. We talked about it because it's an emergency. We cover emergencies on a regular basis. That's what I want to do tonight. Okay? That's what I've done tonight. Sweet Polly Pure Ed, I'm glad you're getting your glasses. Please get your glasses and take care of your home. Take care of yourself as you should. May God bless each one of us, that we might know the things we need to be doing. May God bless each one of us, that we may have the things we need for our families and ourselves, to protect ourselves in emergencies. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about Southern California earthquakes. We may talk a little bit about the new manifold as well. Thursday's going to be talking about what we're doing up in the Pacific Northwest, what's going on with volcanoes and other earthquakes, and how we're going to prepare for the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. May God bless you. May God protect you this day and always. I hope you have a great day and a better tomorrow. If anything happens today, tonight, or in the morning, we'll be coming back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, have a great time, guys. Enjoy your night. God bless. Be safe. We'll see you on the other side. Good night, everybody.